Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And that's a shitload of crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't hear them, there are a lot of crickets going on. We're sitting out back of our Airbnb, a couple miles from the convention, just starting to unwind at 12:30 a.m.
Yep.
Nice and late.
Yes. This is our unwind time.
Yes.
Also known as beer time. We have a lot of epic beer.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
3 unique ones, 2 IPAs, and then 1 good. Oh, actually 3 IPAs, all different ones.
Yeah.
An Escape for Adrian, shocking.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
The New England style for Jeff.
Which is brand new, unfiltered,
Yep.
cloudy IPA, which I know Ant loves.
Yeah.
Yes, he's very excited about that.
And then I'm drinking the sour IPA because it's really more of a sour than an IPA.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. So, GenCon Day 1 is in the books.
Yeah.
Before we get into specifics, how was it? Good time?
Well, what about our day zeros? Do we want to lead in that first?
Sure, we can talk about some Day 0 stuff.
All right.
Yes, we just wrapped up Day 1, but yeah, let's take a second and talk about Day 0. You guys were in a car for most of Day 0.
Yeah.
From Denver to Indianapolis over a day and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did get to stop at Boulevard and have some KC barbecue, which is...
Yeah.
That
Well,
is
I
nice.
tried to take them to Kansas City Joe's, but it was like 6 o'clock, and the line was past the gas station.
Oh,
It was
wow.
ridiculous.
And then everything inside was shoulder to shoulder. And we're like, let's go plan B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember Nick was saying there's also a place called Jack Stack that was pretty good, and so we had it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good, but I feel like there's like one of the few things that I feel hipster about is that it feels weird getting barbecue from a restaurant versus like, you know, just a gas station or just a place where a guy is just like, all right, this is what we have, order it, and then just go sit over there.
Yeah, there's a couple places in St. Louis that I still need to check out that are supposed to be just fantastic barbecue out there. But yeah, the best barbecue tends to be just some guy in a smoker.
Yep.
Yeah.
You feel the passion.
Yeah. And then you guys
It's in his
stayed,
black lungs.
and then you guys stayed outside of Columbia a little bit. Did you guys play any games at the Airbnb?
3 Dragon Ante to determine when we would wake up and also who would drive.
I lost hard.
Hardcore he lost.
I got wrecked. I got all the money ripped away from me. Almost all the card draw was always going to be with someone with good dragons, and I just didn't end up having good dragons.
Yep. And
I went bankrupt.
you did like halfway through Ant, he had won one of the tricks, but then also he kept getting really good like the same color.
Yeah.
That allows you to steal money from everybody. And so he had way more than anybody, and I knew, for me, I was just like, all right, I just don't want to lose. Jeff does not have much money, so I'm gonna make him lose. And so, especially near the end when you only had a couple cards, I had a card that was just like, all right, the person with the strongest fight, make them give you a stronger good dragon or make you pay them 5 gold. And I was
And
just
it was just 5, and then everyone saw blood in the water,
Yeah.
and so they just kept playing that same card, and I just have to keep giving everyone money.
and you're really lucky that David played a low card, because, you know, in 3 Dragon Ante, if you're the highest card, the next, like, if you play a 5, the next person, if they play a 5 or lower, you get to use the ability, but if you play 6 or higher, you just get the number on the card, which, for winning that one trick. And so, David played a 1, and so for me, what I was going to do is he played a 4 or higher, was that I had a mortal that basically said pay 1 gold to the stakes and then have all of your dragons activate again. So I would have stole 20 gold from Jeff.
Oh, God. I was getting wrecked.
Yeah.
So you said you played for when you would wake up and
Who would drive?
who would drive.
Yeah.
So how did playing determine when you guys would wake up?
The winner got to choose when we would wake up. If they wanted us to wake up bright and early so we could get here around 10,
No.
or if they wanted to be a little bit later and get here around 1 or 2.
Gotcha. Which that's about when you guys ended up getting here, right?
Yeah.
You're probably a little later than that.
We left at 6 and
We got here about 12:30.
12:31. Like, we left here at 1:30 because we had to
Or a
get
little
unpacked
van
and stuff like that. And then we stopped at Sun King to drop off beer, and then we went to the convention.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Seemed like it was later than that. But that might have been because I got up this morning, like crazy early, but we'll come back to that. Day 0 for me was relatively uneventful. I got picked up by Wes and Bob and Sven in St. Louis, where I'd spent the weekend. Initially, I thought the plan was they were going to leave at like 9 and then drive all night and then get there. And so I was expecting them to pick me up like 9, 10 o'clock. Well, they got a little bit of a later start, and then they had a bunch of bad weather along the way and got delayed. So ultimately, I didn't get picked up in St. Louis until a little after 11, which worked out because we had time to go by Southern again. I decided not to taunt you with pictures, Zach. I'm just now taunting you with words.
no, it's because we're not going to be able to stop on the way back.
I know.
My heart hurts.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
I'd rather my heart be hurting from the chicken than from the lack of chicken.
The congealed
Yes.
heart valves.
Yes.
Okay.
So my first and last meal in St. Louis for this trip was Southern fried chicken, which was pretty awesome.
You talk about this a lot, probably how I think about Portillo's in Chicago.
Yeah.
So.
But we left St. Louis finally probably about 1 o'clock. Got into here 5:30ish. Pretty much everything was closing down that was going on for trade day events on Wednesday. Went over, checked out the beer garden from Sun King. Had a couple of their beers. Met up with Jake and Danielle from Draft Mechanic. Had some drinks with them, and then we all went over to the Yard House. And eventually Eric from What's Eric Playing and Ken from Geekcraft showed up, along with a bunch of friends of all of them. And we hung out and drank and bullshitted and drank and bullshitted, and
So what you're saying is you got drunk.
I got pretty drunk.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a solid drunk. Walking back to the car, because Paul showed up like 9:30. His flight got in.
He was coming in from Baltimore. Right?
Yeah, he's coming in from Mexico City via Baltimore.
That's right.
Because he was in vacation in Mexico City.
Yeah.
But he got in. He was supposed to get in at 9:30. He didn't land until almost 10. He probably got to the bar at like 10:30. Had a couple drinks with us. They found some random people who'd bought bonk, and so there was some bonk that happened.
Was everyone high-fiving?
Yes,
Yes.
everyone was
Did they say
high-fiving.
bonk?
I don't know. I wasn't sitting close enough.
They weren't doing it right then. Yeah. All right. After that, I just have to say something too.
Okay. So then when we were leaving there and we were walking back, like I was talking about how I had to get up crazy early and it was going to suck because I knew I was drunk and I knew I'd be hungover and I knew I was going to get like 4 hours of sleep. And
Welcome
Paul,
to GenCon.
Yeah, welcome to GenCon. Paul was like, hey, you're going to get in an hour early. Like, here's like $60. Make sure. It's like, hey, here's $60. Make sure and buy, this game. He's like, oh, do I want TI4? Yeah, I do. Here's another $160. Get this game. and I'm pretty drunk. And so, I wake up the next morning and I'm putting on my pants. And there's this, apparently I didn't fold any of it or put away nicely. There's a big wad of, $200 and some worth of 20s in my pocket.
Now, I'm curious, were you like, what did I do last night?
No. I remembered that I was supposed to buy games for Paul. The only thing that I was uncertain of is I knew TI4. Like, that one was easy. I had to be like, wait, what was that other game? What was the other game he wanted me to buy? Luckily, I was able to remember. He wanted me to buy Ex Libris. And I got it.
And that one sold out super quick. Right?
Yes. Yeah, that one apparently sold out at 10:02.
Okay.
So you had VIG access.
Essentially. I mean, I wasn't a VIG.
But you were one of the 90 press people.
Yes.
That got let in. Do you remember what number you were? Did they tell you?
They didn't give us numbers.
Okay.
So I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning, called a ride, and got to the convention center about 5:30, 5:45, and went immediately over to where the press area was, and there's already a line. And 8 people back was Edward from Heavy Cardboard, so I kind of stopped and bullshitted with him for a while, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go jump in line, so that I don't end up way at the back. And I walked around the corner, and the line just went around the corner. It wasn't very far at all. So I was maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 30
Okay.
Edward came back over and talked to me, like he left some of his stuff there, and knew the people he was sitting with, so he came over and talked to me, and then started also talking to Efka and Elaine from No Pun Included, who I had failed to realize because they had just gotten in from England and were looking quite, travel worn.
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
And so I didn't quite recognize them.
Jet lagged, I believe, is
Yes.
the word they used.
But, so I didn't recognize them at first, but then, as soon as they started talking, I was like, oh. So it was cool getting to talk to them. Met a couple other board game media people who I hadn't really known before. Then the doors were supposed to open at 7, and 7:30 rolls around and still no progress. Finally, like 7:35, they start letting people in, and luckily at that point it went pretty quick because everybody there was currently pre-registered, so you just had to sign a little release form, go in, show them your ID, get your press badge, and then you had to specifically ask if you could have a ticket for the early access to the hall. They weren't just giving that out, so unless you knew about it, you were shit out of luck. But I was able to get one, no problem. So then you had to go over to, you guys remember that big gaming area that's adjacent to the vendor hall? You went in there, and that's where VIGs meet, and they would let them in through that backside. And so we had to get in that line, which the timing on that worked out really well to where I ended up standing there with, again, Efka and Elaine, Edward from Heavy Cardboard, and some guys from Board Games Anonymous. And then John Gets Games came by and talked and said hi for a little bit. And then a couple other people. I got to trade some business cards, talk a little shop.
That's why we have business cards, damn it.
Yes. Yep. And so I was standing in that line for about an hour. So I woke up, I got there at 5:30, I stood in line until 7:30, then walked over to a different line, which I stood in from about 8 till 9 when they finally opened the doors and let everyone in. Got inside and immediately beelined it over, got Ex Libris for Paul, went over to Fantasy Flight to get TI4, and Fantasy Flight did the coolest thing that I've seen yet, and I hope that this is a trend that continues. I got in line, the line was stupid long already, and you remember the thing we did last year when we got in and we went straight to the booth for
Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we walked the wrong way around. So if we'd went the one way, we'd have been right in the line, but we walked the other way and the line just built into us.
Someone went the right way.
Yeah.
Where the line was going and not where the line was
Well, so
going
I did that
be.
again at Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, Jeff was pointing at himself. He definitely wasn't pointing at Adrian.
No. So I did that again. I walked the wrong way around the Fantasy Flight booth, chasing the line.
The line is it go just
So I ended up way back at the back of the line, but then shortly thereafter, a lady came along and she had this big box, and she was like, "What games are you wanting to get?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just getting Twilight Imperium 4." And she goes, "Here you go," and hands me a coupon that basically said, "This reserves you a copy." And the only way they will give you a copy right now is if you have that. And that's good through the end of the vendor hall closing tomorrow, Friday, at 6. After that, come Saturday when they open up, any of that's left is free for all. So I was able to get one of those for Paul, but then it was great because it was I got it and I was like, "Oh, yeah. And I was like, "Wait, why am I standing in line?" And before I got out, I went, "I just want to verify, I can leave and this is a copy, right? This is good." And she's like, yeah, it's good. I'm out.
Yep. Don't have to stand here.
Did you see if they had the Mansions of Madness, the new expansion?
I never even made it in. I didn't look at the glass case, so I didn't.
I didn't see it in the glass case, but I saw that they listed it on one of the sides of their walls.
Okay.
Because I wasn't expecting it to be...
Streets of Arkham?
Streets of Arkham, yeah. So I wasn't expecting it, so that's why I didn't even ask.
Yeah.
But,
And then I'm kicking myself because there were a couple things that I forgot about. So Century Spice Road is kind of a hotness right now. So they were giving away free copies of Century Golem to anybody who went up there and said, "I'm here for the Golem." And they'd give you a free copy of that. I forgot all about that, so I didn't do that. And then there was another game that I've already forgotten about. But it wasn't until 10:30, 11. I was like, oh, shit. I meant to go try and get that game.
was it Clank in Space?
No, that wasn't my fault. But so I was wandering around a bit, and I saw The Thing, Infection Outpost 31, which I know we'd all been kind of interested in.
Yes.
And so I stopped over and was taking a look at it and kind of got roped into playing. I ended up playing for like probably 30, 45 minutes. They jump cut to the end just to show how the end plays out. But basically it's a super standard hidden role social deduction game at its heart. Which any good thing game would have that as a component. So basically everybody takes a different character from the show. From the movie. I keep saying show. It's from the movie. And they're divided into like 3 different types. Like there's like the blue ones who are like the guys in charge, and there's like the construction guys, and then there's like some other type. They haven't broken up though. And everybody takes their character, and then on your turn you flip over a card that's like a mission, and it'll tell you take 3 people, take 4 to 5 people, however many, and you choose from the available people that many, and then you choose a room to go to, and all the rooms have a face down token on them, and you're looking for you play through 3 phases, and in each phase you're looking for an escalating tough version of the thing, and then a particular item. So like in the first phase it's a rope, in the second phase it's dynamite, in the third phase I don't remember what it was.
Flamethrower.
I don't think it was a flamethrower.
Well,
but
that's got to be one of them.
So we skipped the first phase entirely. We started and just played through the second phase and into the third. But you choose everybody, you go to a room, then you do whatever the mission is, which there'll be things like, everybody turns in 1 card, and then the cards need to have at least 3 have a +1 on them. And so you'll ask around like who has +1s, who has +1s. And then of course the bad guys, they can have other cards that they can throw in to mess that up. And so you're never quite sure like necessarily who the bad guy was. And then in each of those 3 phases, as you move through them, when you move into the second phase, there's a potential you deal out new blood pack cards so that like somebody else can get affected, and then somebody else can get infected again later. So you can end up with multiple of the things. And yeah, ultimately it was too much the hidden role. The rest of the stuff felt just kind of tacked on around that, and didn't really quite, I feel, capture the theme of the thing. It didn't,
how long is it supposed to be?
Probably like an hour.
Okay.
Which for what it is, I don't think it should.
How did the art look?
The art was good.
Okay.
It was hand drawn. It wasn't like it wasn't
photorealistic.
It wasn't photorealistic,
Yeah.
but it was
Right out of
close
the
enough that like you could see like McCready looked like
Kurt Russell.
like Kurt Russell, and everybody looked kind of like who their actors were. And like one of the guys we were playing with, he was going on and on about how he was such a big The Thing fan that he had it permanently installed on his tablet so he could just watch it whenever he wanted to. And so he was like, well, of course I should get to pick characters first, and I'm taking McCready. Okay, douchebag. He ended up being one of the infected.
It's really rude to say that about
Efka. He ended up being one of the infected people, and I called him on it, and he got really salty because like I made pretty much an airtight case.
Yeah.
And so nobody would include him in anything the rest of the game.
Nice.
And he was not thrilled. I could tell he was pretty grumpy. But at the end of it, he was one of the people saying, and one of the other guys was saying that they felt it was too easy with all the table talk about like, oh yeah, I have a knife that I can play in this, or I have a petri dish, or I have a +1, or I have a +2. They said it was too easy on the survivors. But from my perspective, we skipped the entire first phase. We just skipped it. So we started in the second phase, played through that, and most of the third, and we were 1 bad mission away from failing the game. And she just skipped to the end, which is basically after you've played through everything, you get to the end point, and whoever was the most recent like leader picks somebody for everybody to vote on to be the final leader, and then that person picks people to go on the helicopter to get out of there. And if he picks all people, then you win. If he picks a thing, you're fucked. But we were 1 mission away from failing, and we just skipped to that, whereas we would have had to succeed at like 3 or 4 more missions to have even had a chance. So I think that the thing would have crushed us in a full game.
Okay, that seems pretty interesting.
Yeah. Not available for a little while still. It was definitely a pre-production copy. So I know they said some of the graphic design and stuff might change a little bit, but they think they have it pretty well nailed down.
Yeah, I know there's a deluxe edition that's supposed to be coming out from that, exclusive from Mondo.
Yeah.
So that's the version I kind of want.
Yep.
But is it going to be a good game, or do I just want it because I like the thing?
If you get it, it's definitely going to be because you like the thing. I don't think it's a very good game.
Yeah.
If you really, really love the thing, which I know you love all things John Carpenter, Jeff, it might be worth it for you. Yeah. For most normal people, I would tend to tell them it's definitely try before you buy territory.
Yeah.
Zach, you said you had one more thing that you.
Oh yeah, just we got to try out Sonar.
Oh yeah.
And
in the house after 3 Dragon Annie.
Yes. And I'm trying to remember what it was related. Oh, it was Bonk. That's what it was. So when we played, so this one is a super simplified version of Captain Sonar. So it's 2 to 4 players, so they don't even have the first mate or the engineer.
Yep.
And is everything all right? And it's supposed to be turn-based only, and so no real time. But we did it. We tried it a couple times real time first because we didn't realize that, and we actually started off each one doing the high five thing like Bonk, but we would say quietly, Sonar.
But you just sort of move, and then every time you move, you charge stuff, and then Sonar costs 2 energy. You have an energy bar of 4. Silence is 3, and shooting a torpedo is 4, and that's kind of all you do.
And
but there's little things like the Sonar. They can give you X or Y, but it has to be the truth.
They don't give you a false and a true one.
No, it's just they give you one of them.
And like when you surface, you have to tell them exactly where you are.
Yeah. Like, I'm at C9 and we're surfacing here.
Yeah.
Silence is you just get to go up, down, left, or right. One space, but you don't say which direction you're going. And torpedo can just target any area as long as you are in that sector.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was definitely not as good.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Especially because the rules tell you to play turn-based, and so you lose that real-time element.
I mean, I would say it was definitely more strategic in this one versus Captain Sonar 1 because it's just 2 people, so it's going quicker. It's just the captain is thinking it, and he just goes left, and the other person hears him, and the next captain goes right or whatever. It's not like you have to talk for a little bit, and then you say what's going to happen, and then the other team talks for a little bit and says what's going to happen. But like halfway through each game that was turn-based, I was the radio operator for me and David's team. I knew exactly where they were, and Ant was the radio operator for him and Jeff's team. They knew where we were, and it was just we were following around, just trying to get into a position where we could hit somebody. But then, like we had, to hopefully have our torpedoes ready. But then someone would silence, and it's like, okay, well now we have to figure out one thing real quick, and it just, I don't know. And also you only had to take 2 damage to lose instead of 3. But it's definitely. It's definitely not. I don't think it's worth the $35 or whatever it is for MSRP.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then the rest of today for me, up until you guys got here, I finished up the thing, and they let everybody in, and the immediate change in the volume of that room was nuts as they let in, probably 50,000 people.
Yeah.
It was packed. So wandered around a bit more. Eventually made my way over to the Capstone Games booth where Edward was selling heavy cardboard T-shirts and giving out Lisboa promos, which I got one, so pretty stoked about that. And talked with him and Clay a little bit from Capstone, and then Edward introduced me to Uli from Spielworks, which was really awesome. And he was sitting there talking to Uli, and Uli was mentioning that he had this new game that was going to be getting released at Spiel that he wanted to play. And, Edward was like, oh, yeah, I'll totally play it. He's like, all right, well, that gives us 3, but we should really have 4. And I was standing right there, and Edward goes, well, Adrian, would you want to play? I'm like, yes. 100%, yes.
You mean a game from a major designer that's not out yet and is ultra heavy?
Yeah. So I jumped all over that. We scheduled that.
Did you have to change your underwear?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not have to change my underwear. And it ended up not being super heavy.
Okay.
You know, basically, like, it's definitely, I'd say it's medium heavy. Kind of worker placement, resource conversion game. But it has a really cool mechanism for choosing your actions and how that interacts with other players. And then the scoring conditions are super variable from game to game, so each game's going to play out, I think, a fair bit different.
What was the name?
The name is Kalimala.
How many trains are in this game?
No trains.
0 trains.
0 trains.
Because you are a linen merchant in 15th century Florence.
Okay.
Yes.
So
all right.
It's the other Euro side thing. It's either you're some sort of merchant in the fucking Renaissance era, or there's fucking trains. No.
Yeah. But so I played that with them. Clay from Capstone stopped by and watched for a while. I ended up winning, which is funny. Uli definitely started to give me shit as I got closer and closer to winning. Mm-hmm. Like at one point, there was a scoring tile that went down where he wasn't going to get any points. I was like, oh man, yeah, that sucks. I'm not getting any points either. And he goes, you have enough points, in his very thick German accent. And it was quite humorous.
Nice.
Him and Edward kept giving each other shit too, and it was a really good time. But the game, you know, he taught us in probably 5 to 10 minutes, and then it played in an hour, 10 hour, 20. So,
it sounds like something that you could bring to game night.
Yeah, I think it's a game that could easily get played at game night. So, that was definitely probably one of the highlights of the day for me.
Schmoozing with
heavy
industry people.
With heavy board game industry people, yes. The only other thing that would maybe kind of compare was after I got done kind of wandering around the vendor hall and everything, and after I did an interview that I'll come back and talk to a little bit here, but went over to the new open gaming area, which is on the field level of Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah. And
I got to teach Food Chain Magnate to a new player, a guy named Josher. He does some board game writing and stuff for some local publications out in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows Clay from Capstone because he's based out of Ohio. And then he also knows Patrick. Kind of tangentially through like a Yahoo game night meetup chat thing that has been going on for like a decade.
Okay.
Nice.
So that was cool that he knew them, and he had posted about it a while back on Facebook, and I jumped on and said, yeah, I'll gladly teach you. And so then he sent me a friend request, and so he's seen that like we have the podcast and do game night stuff, and are from Colorado, so he was at least vaguely familiar with us. So that was pretty cool. Just getting to play games like on Lucas Oil Stadium is like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool place to play.
Unless you're David. And David said that he can't sit in the bleachers unless he's wearing Texans gear, or he has to immediately light himself on fire.
Yes.
The Texans and the Colts, I have
huge
learned,
rivalry.
Massive rivalry.
Yeah. Fairly one-sided in that the Colts tend to just beat on the Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense for why the Texans would hate the Colts then.
Correct. So those are some of my highlights. I'll come back and talk a little bit more about the interview I did later, but I've been rambling for a little bit, guys. You got there kind of in the middle of the day. How'd the rest of your day go at GenCon Day 1?
I think the first thing we did was we were just kind of going to wander to the expo hall, and then we saw Big Trouble in Little China, the board game, and we were like, oh, let's go over there. He was just finishing up with one person, and so another guy was sitting down, and he was just going to kind of, it wasn't really a demo, more of just like a rules rundown, like this is how you play, this is what you do. From your comparison of the thing, I think that the Big Trouble Little China game will be the better of the Kurt Russell duo games that are at Gen Con.
Yeah.
It actually looked pretty cool.
Especially because, it is a double-sided board, and you actually use both sides.
What?
The first half, and it's... So there are basically two halves, or two parts to the game. The Chinatown side, and then what did he call the other one?
It's like Lopan's Lair.
Yeah. You spend like an hour and 40... So it takes about 2 hours, he said. an hour and 40 minutes in Chinatown, and then about 20 minutes in Lopan's Lair.
It's like the final boss.
And, yeah, when you move to it, you flip the board over, and then you just do that.
Wipe the board,
Yeah.
flip.
Huh.
It's a big board too.
It's a big board,
Like an Eldritch Horror size.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yes. And you choose your character, and then there are these quests that you can go on.
Son of a bitch must pay.
Yeah. And then, when you choose a quest, usually it's, like, for that one, Kurt Russell's character has to be the one that starts it.
Okay.
But then you actually get, there are these story elements that it's like, okay, read this little bit, and then you make a choice, and then, like, there's a progressing...
It's like an adventure book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have to do all these certain things in order to complete it. And what's actually interesting is that the second half, or the other side of the board, when you get to that, if you've completed the quest, you get certain things, and if you haven't completed it, you lose certain things, or it makes it harder.
Okay.
So there is getting those quests is gonna directly impact whether or not you can actually finish the game.
There is a significant amount of dice.
Yeah.
But,
But
dice rolling for combat and stuff like that.
But there seems to be some mitigation, and then also they had these fate dice that are extra dice that you can use, but when you use it, you have to roll a die and basically have a 50% chance of nothing happening.
Well, there's a chart.
Yeah.
Like the first fate die you lock in there, like if you have a 50-50 chance, good or bad, but the first one you lock in has a chance of making everyone take 3 damage. Like the last one on there has a 50-50 chance of you just are dead now.
Oh, jeez.
But your character dying doesn't mean the end of
It's like
you go
Eldritch,
Okay.
where the doom track goes up 1 for the bad guys, and then you sort of just
you go to
come back.
hell, and then you come back with like some sort of condition where it's like you can't re-roll extra dice.
Kind of like Mansions of Madness First Edition,
Yeah.
where you had those like sanity and health conditions. that
Yeah.
would come up.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it looked pretty decent.
Yeah, the minis weren't like cool stuff style, like quality minis, but they like the
Not many are.
No, yeah. They looked decent though. And I was definitely interested in. I definitely would be interested in trying that one.
Yeah. All the art was super nice. Tons and tons of fan service all over. I'm.
You can level up your character too and stuff like that. So
all the characters are upgradable, and then those upgrades can be turned into better upgrades, like
epic upgrades and stuff like that. So
there's a lot. I think that one, it looks really, really good, and I am much closer to pre-ordering that one now than I was before.
Yeah,
awesome.
So much that they have a booth. Or they have a laptop there, and they're like, "Oh, how do I get it?" And they're like, "Well, this laptop here. Feel free to pre-order right now."
Yeah.
And they have like a
just take this $100, or I don't know how much it was.
The deluxe is definitely
$100. Just throw the money onto the laptop. It'll take care of the rest.
Just throw your wallet at it. And, but they're giving away like egg Shen bags when you do the pre-order there at the booth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty cool.
When we were driving here. I think it was on Tuesday, and that's when they announced that TI3 or TI4 was going to be at sale here
at
GenCon. He was showing me, it to me on his phone. I literally opened my wallet. I had a stack of 20s, and
Jeff,
I
hold your
just
phone
threw
there.
it at his phone. I was like, didn't do anything.
Nice.
Yeah.
After that, we went by the Vast Crystal Cavern booth.
Leader Games.
Yep.
They have the Vast Minis there.
They had painted versions of them as well.
Yes.
So
the Vast Minis, Ant has all of those.
Yeah, he did
from the Kickstarter.
He did the Kickstarter. So there's a little bit of delay on those. They originally were supposed to be August, but now it sounds like October, November. But
they look really nice.
They look really nice.
They're super awesome.
Yeah.
Like, everything in that game now has a mini. Even the little crystals are minis. Ladders are minis. The dragons look really nice. The painted versions, someone painted, but like Ant was like, "Wait, are those the same minis?" Like, because they're just colored, and then the painted ones look awesome. They're super detailed.
Yeah, whoever did it a great job.
Yeah.
And so we were talking with him. We were talking with I think the director of operations. I forget what his name was.
Yeah.
He was a cool dude though.
Yeah.
And he was telling us how like they have some other Kickstarters down the road, but they don't want to start another one until this one is finished.
Right.
And so you could tell like they were a bit frustrated from the delays, but they wanted the customers to be satisfied before they started doing the other ones. Like Cool Mini, the revolving door of it.
Yeah. This one is ended, and our new one will start in 2 weeks.
Yep. But they had some shirts for sale, and one of the shirts said "Vast the Mysterious Manor," and we were like, "What's that?" And apparently, they're going to do a Kickstarter, but then the next one after that is going to be "Vast the Mysterious Manor," which is basically like a sequel.
Okay.
And we were he said that every subsequent game is going to be backwards compatible with the previous ones. And so whatever stuff is on here, you can mix and match. You can have the dragon try and get out of the house or whatever. I feel like that would be easier than a crystal cave, but
probably.
Yeah.
Who knows? We jokingly asked if it was possible to have a cave versus house fight, and it's not.
Yeah.
Although he did say it's like I might try and come up with a variant for you guys.
It's like can't play the house and the cave.
It's like, oh, that's a bummer.
Darn.
But yeah, it's like we didn't have any news of it other than the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
And I like the first one, so I know eventually we're gonna review it. So,
yes.
Swap cards.
Yes. I have his card. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
We did some fucking networking too. It's not just you.
I never said it was.
Producer. But yeah, we saw that. It was cool.
We swung through a bunch of booths after that. We saw Scott Pilgrim was totally wiped out.
Yeah.
We swung by Fantasy Flight to see that they had Fallout and Civ on demo. Twilight Imperium is on demo.
Mm-hmm.
They have 3 tables demoing Twilight Imperium.
And long-ass lines, too.
Yes. We went by, who does Wasteland Express?
Pandasaurus Games.
Pandasaurus Games. You purchased a copy of
I did.
Wasteland Express.
There was, they had it on demo, and I was like, oh, look, he's here. And then they saw that they had it on sale.
We originally had gone up there because it was like, oh, Dinosaur Island. Let's go ask them if they're going to be demoing Dinosaur Island. And as we were talking to the guy, I saw there was a Dinosaur Island box. And it was like, oh, yeah, the developers are over doing something. And then it was like a Q&A. Mm-hmm. And then they'll come back tonight and then demo. And then tomorrow should be demoing all day. Right. So we're going to see Dinosaur Island tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah.
Cool.
But then, I saw that they had Wasteland Express and they also had promos available. And I was like, how much is it? Expecting it to be 100 or something like that. And it's like 80. And I'm like, look at my wallet. Well, there's $80 right here. Here you go, sir.
And here's your promos.
Yep. Which Paul bought it as well, and he did not get the promos.
So. Yeah, he was pretty pissed. He's like, I'm going to go back there tomorrow.
We went by the Game on Games. They have Heroes of Lancia and Air there, but it just seems to be a box of stuff.
No.
They didn't have it for demo or anything like that. It didn't look like.
He was just showing off to another guy, and I was kind of looking over his shoulder. And
the
stuff in there looks real cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can buy the Kickstarter editions of the Tiny Epic Quest if you want from there too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Roxley has Brass here, not for sale, but you can go look at their full production copies of Brass Lancashire and Brass Birmingham.
I saw, was it Roxley that had the giant Santorini?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was also Roxley.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Because they've released the newer, slightly cheaper version of Santorini that doesn't have the base. And I think it doesn't have the expansion built in, but it's less expensive and takes up a little bit less space.
After that, we
also said hi to Jason from Green Couch Games too, the guys that did before Earth Explodes.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, we went by and said hello to him. Who was at his booth?
The guys that
developed
Wasteland Express.
Wasteland Express, because they are developing another game for him.
But they were busy, and then we were like, but Renegade is over there, and I want to see if they have Clank in space.
They didn't.
They did not.
But they will maybe have some tomorrow. So, fingers crossed. We sort of just wandered around booths and saw stuff. Mm-hmm. I totally forgot to buy a Terraforming Mars board today, so hopefully I'll get it tomorrow.
They had a ton of
them, so, and it's $20.
Yeah,
so.
and then I gave shit to Paul. He's like, Paul bought 3 for people, and then he was like, oh fuck, I totally didn't even think about buying you one. I was like, oh thanks, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just throw your small asteroid promo that I bought for you in the garbage.
Oh, it's so he didn't buy 3 for any people. Me, Paul, and Wes, who all 3 own it, went over to the thing.
And you need to give your copy to Jeff because we don't play your copy, Adrian. So.
No. I also need to go by the place that has like the game tray insert for Terraforming Mars.
Speaking of,
I really want to go see Daedalus.
Speaking of game trays, they're the ones that helped develop the insert for Wasteland Express.
Yeah,
haven't played that game yet, but we did open it up, and holy shit, that thing is really well.
Fine insert.
They're the same ones that did Mechs vs. Minions.
Okay,
and it basically fit in the exact same way, like a bunch of interlocking shit. Comes with 9 things to hold cards, but like literally. There are 2 plastic things that have arrows on them to be like, these arrows should be touching, so you know that they should be going in this certain direction and stuff like that.
Cool.
Insert, super nice.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid they do an expansion, because then it won't work with the insert.
Yeah.
cough, Lords of Waterdeep.
True.
Yeah.
Ant got 2 new Blood Bowl teams today.
He was very excited.
Yes. They look very nice. He got frogs, which is Slawn, but they actually look like frogs. And then some other team that I never saw, but I guess he did a pickup for his Kickstarter here.
Gotcha.
Which is nice.
Yep.
I picked up number 9.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Yeah, which is kind of a little tile laying game where everybody uses the same tiles, but you don't have to place them, and you're doing like your own little puzzle. But the only way to get points is to stack them on top of each other, but you can't have any space underneath of them. Seems like kind of a cool little logic puzzle. Again, another one that should be kind of thinky and fun, but also cool to play at game night.
Nice.
So,
you also got Custom Heroes.
Yes, I did.
The new card crafting game.
Yep, from AEG. It's trick taking as well.
Yeah.
And so one thing I found, like, I actually started looking at the cards because after we sleeved them, I like how, like, one of the things you add, because it just has a regular person, and it's like, oh, you're increasing the strength of it. It's like they're holding a sword now instead. But then there's also one where it's like they're throwing a cabbage instead, so it's negative points.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things. I'm looking forward to trying that
There's
out.
one where it's like a cat, like cats are just sort of hanging around.
But then there's like balloons and
fire and stuff like that. It's just like, I'm curious to see how this is going to work.
Yeah. Huh.
But, yeah. And they get, for this box that's like 7 inches by 4 inches wide.
Yeah, it looked kind of small.
Yeah, they're like, would you like this 4 foot by 3 foot bag? And I'm like, of course. Why would I not?
Why would I not want this colossal bag?
So yeah,
welcome to big bags.
Yeah.
I didn't really buy anything more than promos today.
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of promos. Yeah.
I got we went by Dice Tower. The Dice Tower dudes were there in the booth.
Yep.
I bought the Dice Tower Terraforming Mars promo.
How much was that?
It's like
2 for $5.
2 for $5.
I picked up a Champions of Midgard character, as well as something for Splendor, something for Clank, and then one other thing I can't remember what I got.
Yeah, I got Seven Wonders Duel and some other things I don't remember. Oh, you got the Yokohama promos from Board Game Geek.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. And then after that, we got food, and then we set up for Pandemic.
Yes. Pandemic.
How many games did you get in?
3? 3 or 4? 3?
3.
I mean, everyone lost.
Jeff won.
So I was the bioterrorist, not the actual bioterrorist role, but sort of a game runner that helps put cubes down and.
But then is also like happy when outbreaks happen and stuff like that.
Yes.
The villain.
The villain of the story. So you just try and be as big of a dick and give bad advice. Jokingly.
Yeah, but what was really funny is that like we had a decent amount of new players, but then there's also a couple that were like veterans, and every time they were doing great, and then
it was always we're like 2 turns away from winning, but during that 2 turns
shit changed.
Literally, they had one of the teams went from 2 outbreaks to 8 outbreaks. They had a triple outbreak twice.
Oh, jeez.
That was South America that got that one. So,
okay.
Yep. And everybody seemed to like it a lot. We were right next to the 2 Rooms and a Boom people.
We have a storied rivalry with those people.
They thought that they had. It was like, oh, we'll just set up here, and we're like, no, our event is here. You guys are actually farther in that corner. we were able to compact our area down to enough to where they weren't worried too much. I think we still had to talk to someone from GenCon to be like,
yeah,
yes, we are supposed to be here. Yes, this is a ticketed event. Yes, this is the map that says we are supposed to be here. I guess that 2 rooms and a boom people have some weight to throw around or something.
It's definitely one of the more popular ticketed events.
Yeah.
So
they must make some fucking money off that thing. If it just takes general tickets, there probably had to be hundreds of people that did that while we were just playing 3 games of Pandemic.
It was great because every time they were waiting to play, guess where they're waiting right next to? Fucking our game.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, what is this? Blah, blah, blah. So,
everyone kept calling it Risk.
yeah. And they're like,
nah, it's
and
Pandemic.
And they're like, oh, it's Giant Pandemic. And so it's like, fucking tell them it's Pandepic.
So we did 3 games of that and then wrapped up and got here.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
The only thing I said I'd come back and kind of touch on it, did our second interview, I guess, that we've done for the show. I didn't have the audio equipment, so it's not an audio interview. And it's something I'll talk more about when we get back for like a full episode. But I got an interview one of the guys from Big Potato Games, and he showed me a couple of games in their lineup and talked to me for a bit. Super nice guy. They do a lot of like kind of party, like fun little simple style games. Like one of their games he described as like Cards Against Humanity plus role playing, sort of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then like one of their games I tested, I said reminded me very much of Spyfall.
Gotcha.
But
that was the Chameleon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll, like I said, we'll go through more of that stuff later during the actual episode, not this short 45-minute recap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Day 1 recap. So it's just 45 minutes a day, and then we'll have like 3 hours of content that we can throw up on websites.
So we're going to break down a whole lot more of everybody we're going to see tomorrow and talk to tomorrow, but we're running long.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll tell you what we did see tomorrow.
Yes. So that way you don't have to listen to a whole lot of extra. But we got some more interviews lined up tomorrow and a whole nother full day of gaming and screwing around. We also have the Punchboard Media meetup, and I'll probably go to the Heavy Cardboard meetup. So we'll have stuff like that to talk about for you for tomorrow's episode.
We'll probably be a lot drunker tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be a drunk episode. It'll be fun. So, all right. Well, I think that wraps everything up. As always, I've been Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Spider Jeff.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.